Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad you're here today. You recently saw me make a Manuka balm, and now I'm making a Manuka lip food. And I just love working with this honey. Any excuse that I can find to use it, I do, because I get to lick the dishes when I'm done. And what's better than that? This stuff's delicious. And anyway, this is a very basic lip balm recipe, with the exception of the shea butter and the actual Manuka honey that's in it. It doesn't need a lot of excessive oils in it because the honey itself is the star. It is the product that is known worldwide for its healing and antibacterial qualities, so there's no need to get in its way. We're just going to let it do what it needs to do. And so what I'm doing here is I've melted my beeswax in my oils here, and I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of the honey to this and dissolving it. Now, as many of you know, honey does not like to be mixed with oil. It separates and it sits on the bottom, as you'll see there. So the trick to it is to whisk it really fast, get it broken up in the oil, and then pour it immediately. And I have found this works successfully every time. The trick is to also let it cool so that it starts to thicken up first. That way the particles will stay together better. And that's exactly what I've done here. Now, I've got this container a little full. I should have used a little bit larger one. I do have a few spills here, but that's okay. It's good for the wood. It's not a problem. But this most important part is to make sure that that honey is well dispersed in there before you pour it, because it can be a real devil about separating. But again, I'm letting this cool. That's another reason I'm whisking it, to introduce air and to cool it down, because the more it cools, the slower the honey reacts to separating with the oil. It works. I promise you, I've done this time and time again with other honey, not with Manuka, but with the Manuka salve. That's what I had to do as well. So honey is honey. But I've just made a mess here. This is not the best pouring container, and I should have used the tool that my dear friend Renee gave me, and it just slipped my mind. She gave me that wonderful ladle with the scoop in it. It's much less messy than pouring it like this. And it went pretty well, but I did have a couple of spills here. But that's really pretty much it. And then let it cool. You'll see I spilled some there in the back. And after letting it cool for about 3 hours, I then cleaned up each of the sticks to make sure they didn't have any oil on them, applied my label, and always align your label, by the way, between the cap and the bottom dial, the way you wind it up. Because if you don't, you can prevent the customer from being able to actually access your great material. And that's what I'm showing there. So you need to leave the wheel at the bottom free and the cap free. And these particular labels are 1.75 inch circles. And these are just little shrink wrap sleeves, and I had a heck of a time with these. It's like when I go to the grocery store and I have to open up those plastic grocery bags whenever I use those. I try not to, I really do. I try to take my own, but on occasion I have to use them. And whenever I do, I have a heck of a time getting them open. And these I had a very similar issue with. Now, but when you are using these little shrink wrap tubes, always leave about an eighth of an inch at the top, because by doing that you leave the wheel at the bottom free, because the customer is going to be able to peel off, once you heat wrap this, they'll be able to peel off the ring at the top that keeps the cap on, but it will leave the plastic over your label all the way down to the wheel, thus protecting your label. So you don't have to have a waterproof label because, well, the shrink wrap itself acts as waterproofing and it works really well. And I'm wearing a glove. Oh, I'm already wearing plastic gloves, or latex, but I'm also putting on this little Kevlar-like glove because these are so small. Holding in the hand, you'll burn your finger using your heat gun. So I just went over it with very lightly because you don't want to melt your oils in within. And just make sure that the label, that the wrapper is well tightened around it, and hold on to it, which is a problem I had here. I dropped it twice actually, and as you can see, I'm not so good in that glove. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll go ahead and get the rest of these done, but I want to thank you all. These are in the Etsy store, and I put them in there at a very low price because I want you to be able to try them. And I'm covering the cost of the tubes and the labeling and ink and the actual honey itself, but I'm keeping the price low. So I hope you'll give them a try. And let me know if you have any questions. I love answering questions. You take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you later. Goodbye.